Welcome back. I changed my mind. Big surprise there. I was going to continue doing the underneath of the car, but what I decided to do is I've got replacement springs, rear leaf springs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these off, and the reason I'm going to do this rather than continue on with the rest of the underneath for right now is I want the leaf springs out, prep the metal that's under the plates and all the areas up here on the rail, and then I will put the new spring in and get it ready, because when the frame extenders come, subframe extenders, that way that will be all taken care of and I don't have to worry about it, because I'm really not sure. I imagine you can get the spring off. I can't imagine them building it and not allowing you to get the spring, but I just figured for right now what I'm going to work on is taking these springs off. And so I kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and I did this before, but I redid it. I kind of sprayed PB Blaster on all the bolts and the shocks, and surprisingly enough, they all twist. All I did was did a real quick half-quarter turn twist. However, this side broke off. Just a little bit of a twist broke off, which was why I parked this thing in the first place, because I had broke. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if it's this side or that side. Oh, right there. Oh, no, that wasn't it. That's what I just broke. One of these I had broke prior to parking it and went around the corner. And let me see if maybe it's this side. Yeah, it's this side. So you can see that this is quite rusted. So this is broke back 30 some years ago off of this. So really, right now, both outside shackles on this are junk. But I had bought all the replacement pieces for it. So I've got all new springs, isolators, shackles. The only thing I can't remember is on this one, sometimes you get two U-bolts that go across the axle. On these, it's got this little self-locking nut on the top. But they also sell the U-bolts. I can't remember which one I bought. Either case, it really don't matter. We'll figure it out. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this off. So I already pre-positioned these bigger jack stands on the frame rails, just ahead of the axle, the differential. And then what I did was I lowered these stands just a little bit, so that when I set the weight of the car on it, it still had some travel to come down, and then it rested on this. And now my hope is, once I break these all the way free, that very little bang, because I'm trying to figure out what would be the perfect height, so where when I undo it, it's almost like a seamless, take it off, put it back on, and not it bounce down or it's hanging and I gotta end up lifting the differential up to meet it. But either or, it doesn't really matter. We'll figure it out. But so I'm gonna go ahead and start removing these bolts. I had to take a little pressure off the from the axle, and then once I disconnected the other side of the sway bar, it came off. But look at the mess this is. I'm sure you've seen, probably just falling apart. Here's my bracket. That's the isolator. Looks like my spring is broke. I don't even know where the rest of it is. Oh, there it is right there. So, yeah, one of my springs was broke. And you can see it up there hanging. But it was a mess. You saw, I think, as soon as I was like pulling it out, it started just There we go. So now I'm going to knock that out. Well, I'll probably vacuum this up, and then I'll come right back and then disconnect this side, and then that's the side that is probably going to be a pain in the butt, just because it's under there. But who knows? Might be a blessing in disguise. All right, let me clean this up a little bit so I'm not tracking it around, rolling it, and then I'll start right back up. All right, a couple things, as you probably could see me struggle a little bit. One of the things I was trying to do was do one side at a time. And with regards to the sway bar, you do have to disconnect both sides to give it enough room to swing around out of your way. So that's what I did. I had to take a little pressure off the axle, and then I'm gonna put that back down. Yep, it's too good to be true. So, as I was saying, how I broke them all loose, just about a quarter, half a turn. Well, those clip nuts that are in the back, two of them broke. Actually, that one I got out. I made a mistake on this one. I was even thinking ahead of time. I was like, I was not going to use a impact because I knew it was going to potentially spin the back. But I got carried away, used an impact, broke it. Didn't use an impact on this one, but it still snapped. This one actually came out. So now I got to grind the heads off of both these bolts. So I'm going to do this one first, and then when some of the pressure releases, and I'll be out here and not so far up in there when the spring decides to spring. Yeah. Talk too soon, I suppose. Well, it's always freaking subject to going sideways. All right. Yep. So that 4.5 inch disc was not long enough to reach up to that top bolt. So instead of trying to monkey around and drill it, and it's because I hate drilling, I took the torch and I cut the leaf spring. So it's still a little hot right there, but I cut the leaf spring, and then once I get that back piece out, get this leaf spring out of the way, I'll be able to get up into where the bolt's at and cut it off. But after cutting it, guess what? Got another broke leaf spring. So I was in all kinds of a mess right now. So I had two broken leaf springs on this side, or on the passenger side. I don't know what the driver's side is yet, so I'm going to do one side at a time. But yeah, it had to go resort to the cutting torch. Now I tried to do the bolt head, but I started making a mess, so I figured to just cut the leaf spring, get it out of the way. But I'm gonna let it cool down. Then I'm gonna get the back end of this, get the spring out of the way. And once the spring's out of the way, and the spring is going to be, the differential is going to be sitting on these other jack stands, so it shouldn't go anywhere. Once that spring comes out of the way, it'll be lined up for the next spring to come in. So then I'll do this. Once this comes off, I'll prep it, sand it, paint it, and then I'll put the spring up. And once that spring's done, then I'll move over to the other side. I'm only do one side at a time so I know I've got it done. But all right, guys, I was just bringing you back in, showing you where I'm at. Let it cool down, then I'll go right back at it. So you see I've got it out, and that's where I cut it. That's where it's broke. So there's two springs that were broke. That one and a smaller spring. Got the bushings out. Now I need to look up in here without cutting myself. And so I boogered that up, but I can get it undone. And then I'll either grind that one off or cut that one off too as well. So that way I can get that pocket out and then pull this out. And then I can clean up in there and get it ready to put the new one on. Huh. Ain't that, look at that. Well, I mean, I cut that one, but two broke springs. So I believe, yeah, this spring right here is supposed to be connected here. And then on these little ones over here, this one's broken and it was connected to something, but neither here nor there. We've got it off, so I can start cleaning it up. Now I gotta get that top front off, but after that, then we can start cleaning it up. All right, let me get back to work. Well, after about 2 weeks, I'm back. I got metal lodged in my eye. At first, I thought it was a hair or something because I don't remember anything ever popping in my eye out in the garage. But it was later that night, I was sitting down and it felt like I had something in my eye, and I kept rubbing it, and my wife's like, oh, go get checked out. And I didn't want to get checked out, so I waited a day or two, and then finally it just wasn't getting any better. And I noticed when I pulled my eyelash up, or my eyelid off my eyeball, it felt better. So I went to the doctor. Turns out I had rusted metal jammed in my eyeball, and she said it wasn't going to come out without a doctor or somebody pulling it out with tweezers. And if I'd waited in there a couple of days, it would have been glossed over and they really would have had to dig. On top of that, it got infected, so I had to wear these, or had to use this, what do you call it, eye drops, floxicillin or whatever it was called. But we are back. I just didn't want to come back out here and risk the chance of getting even dust in my eye if it's still infected. But all right, so under here, I've already taken it off. I need to clean up that pocket. I cut that bolt off, clean that up, and then I've got the new pockets to put on. They're up here. And then on top of that, I got subframe connectors that came in. So I've got all kinds of goodies right now to put on my car. I just need to get my butt in gear and start doing it. So all right guys, let me let you go so I can get down there, clean it up, and then work on putting the suspension in. All right guys, I got it all prepped up under the passenger side. I got the spring out and I prepped it. I'll go and show you what I did with the driver's side, even though I'm not ready for the driver's side. I just wasn't filming when I prepped this side. But over here, let me see if I can get under here, show you what we got going. Under here, I got it all painted and prepped, and then I'm going to put these little clip nuts in it that it requires. So this is the kit I bought in conjunction with my springs. It's a OER and 478 Trans Am. That's the information. 70 to 81 multi-leaf install. And they've got everything. I pulled half of it out. But these are the clips that I need to put up in the front socket pocket. I got my hip thing. I gotta keep the rust out of my eyes. Usually for something simple like this, I wouldn't put goggles on, but yeah, for something simple like this, I wouldn't put the goggles on, but I'm going to So really all I did was paint right where this was at. I'm going to have to go over everything else. I'm just trying to get the part that I won't be able to get at later. So you see how easy these things flip on. We'll figure that out. So basically, it goes on like this, and then you just, it's going to be a little tight, but that's alright. You want them tight, a little bit. There's that one. Let me put another one on. I think I fell out of view. And there's for the front. You want the nut. You want that nut piece up inside. There we go. There's one there, and there's 3 of them up front. So they give you 6. So let me see where we're at here. Again, the nut part goes up on top. And slide it. Well, there we go. Probably why you got safety goggles on. I apologize, trying to keep it in focus while. Oh, there we go. Maybe. Almost find something that will help me get that in. There we go. This one's going to be a pain in the butt, huh? There we go. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Alright. Alright. So on the spring, the ones that have multiple, you'll see on the this will be the front part going towards the front, and then on the back of the spring, you're only going to see 2 leads initially. Then you'll see 3, and that's probably a third of the spring right there. But on the front part of it, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. You want the heavier piece towards the front of the car. And then what I did is I got white lithium grease, and I bought 2 new pockets just because I didn't want to try to clean up and mess with the old stuff. But you got to figure out where the front is, and this we've already identified this is the front. So we want to put what I did. I'm not saying that everybody does it, but what I did is I put lithium grease on the rubber that's going to be facing the metal of the spring pocket. Put it on that. Put it on the other side. And my hopes is that it will prevent or reduce squeaking. And on top of that, the kit came with 2 of these bolts and nuts. I already got one on this one I already did. But then I put that white lithium grease on it too. And it's more for keeping it from corroding and seizing up or whatever, but it also may help with squeaking. Put that down there. And then on this side, which goes towards the back, near the back bumper, these are the shackles. And I guess it really doesn't matter which side's up or which side down because they look both the same. So I'm just going to take off the nut and then take off take it off, And I'm going to put lithium grease on the inside and then around the part that goes inside the spring itself. Just again to keep it, try to keep it from squeaking and bouncing. Every time it bounces, it doesn't do some funny noises. Do this side. So this spring I'm doing right now is for the driver's side. However, I'm not ready to do the driver's side yet. I'm just kind of prepping this spring since I've got them both out. And I didn't film the passenger side. I started doing it before I filmed it. So I put that one in. And then put some on here. And then I'll leave that one alone. And then I'll do these when it's time to shove it up in the car. I don't want to have grease just hanging around right now. I also put some of the lithium grease on the pocket here for the pad. Again, that's for the passenger side, which is what I'm getting ready to do. All right, guys, I got the passenger side suspension in. It's all hooked up. I still got to go back in and clean up the brake, the emergency brake line, put it out, but I'm not worried about that right now. The only thing that it went in pretty good in the back as well. I did realize that the bolts have to go in a certain way because the bottom bolt, I was trying to come from the pan at the top. So it's reverse. So if you go on the top, bolt goes in, and on the bottom the bolt goes this way. Well, I had it the opposite, and there wasn't enough room to clear from here, so I ended up having to take it out and redo it, but it's all in. The part on the bottom though, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, and you can see that I don't have a whole lot sticking out right here, and this isn't even hooked up yet. Well, I'm gonna wait until the car is actually settled on the suspension. When I'm done the driver's side, then it'll squish it down a little bit more. But one of the things I saw was, this is the old bolt right here. So it has a, let's see where we're at. And this is, well, I'll use the passenger side for example. So on the outboard side, you have a U-bolt, but on the inboard side, you have these things that slide down, and then that T locks it in. Well, you can see if I put this up there, this one's quite a bit longer than the replacement ones that they gave me. So you can just see how much this is hanging down over the replacement ones that are in, the new ones that are in there. So I'm hoping once it settles in and this seals up, I can pop one off at a time and then put the sway bar bracket on. If by chance it doesn't work, I'm going to take these old ones, I'm going to clean them up because I haven't thrown them away yet. I want to clean up the old ones and put them in. I'd rather not put the old ones in. I'd rather just get those to work, and I think I'll be able to get them to work because it has room to play. I just haven't squished them down yet. So right now the car is sitting on the frame and not on the axle, but it's doing that on both sides because what I need is it to be able to adjust until I do the other side. Once I do the other side and I get it to this point, I'm taking them off this and putting them on. Well, actually I'll get rid of these and I'll put them back on this, and it will put the weight on the suspension and hopefully suck it up. But well, maybe not. Maybe it will make it worse. We'll see. All right, we got a little bit of a mess. All the rust encapsulator I put down here, but I've got the second spring partially in. Let's get some light up in this situation. So I got these all bolted in. I went through and cleaned as best I can the pockets and the rust. And then I got the spring, let's see, I got the spring partially in. What I'm waiting for is, I did not, let's see, get some light. What I didn't do is the bracket that goes down below here, I forgot to clean it up and get it painted. So what I'm doing now, so it's bolted front and back. I just got to get the centerpiece. What I'm doing now is I'm painting that bracket so that it will look a lot better than what it did look like, because it was rusted. And so that's not going to happen today. That's going to have to be at least till tomorrow by the time that paint's all set in. Same thing as, like I said, the same thing that happened with the last spring. I ended up having to cut it with a torch and then remove it. A lot of rust fell down. This time I had glasses on. A lot of rust fell down, and then cleaned it, scrubbed it, wire wheeled it. Used that wire wheel, and then I tapped on it with a hammer, and sometimes if it's flaky rust it will just pop off. I also got to clean these up. These are the brackets for the emergency brake that go through that side, the side of that frame. But that doesn't have to be right now. Where am I at? Right here. Oh, right there. Well, hold on. Let me see if I can get a little light on here, because there we go. So right there on both sides. And I greased the hell out of these things. I got lithium grease on everything. I don't want any squeaking. If anything, it'll be bouncing because there's no friction. All right, messing with my light right now, trying to figure out how to get that thing shut off while I'm talking to you. All right, guys, I'm back and finished with the suspension in its entirety in the rear. So, like I said, we've got it all hooked up here. So this piece right here, I think I was talking about before, you can tell it's squished down and it's barely got threads showing. I mean, it would be enough if I didn't have to hook this up, but, and it might even still be enough. I just don't know why they didn't give me the longer studs like they had on the other one. They came down about here. But in any case, I've got it on. I just got it hooked up like this for right now. And when it's sitting on its rear axle, so essentially it's like it's on its suspension right now. But what I'm going to do is move on to doing the subframe connectors. And then I'm going to go over the suspension with regards to tightening it. But you can see everything's hooked up. Everything's hooked up and nice and neat. Everything's hooked up. So I'm going to call that a wrap on the rear suspension and move on to my subframe connectors. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Let me close this out and then I can start on my subframe connectors. Later on.